Crusaders, and welcome to today's episode. My name is Sean Wasserkrug, and before we jump into today's review, just gotta kind of go over where I've been the last 3 weeks. I've been battling a really bad cough that's basically made it almost unbearable to shoot videos without going into huge coughing fits. And then on top of that, I got COVID this week. So have not been the healthiest as of late, so I'm trying to get better about it. And today I think I felt the best I've felt in the recent weeks, enough for me to try to start shooting these videos. So there's going to be a lot of videos popping up here on the channel here in the next day or two. So if my voice starts to go out about halfway through the review, I apologize. I'm trying to rush through these as much as I can. But there's been a lot of videos I've seen over the past 3 weeks while being sick, so it's time for me to actually start talking about these films for all of you guys. Today's video, or today's review, is going to be one of the more anticipated films of the year, definitely an Oscar runner, and that is The Fabelmans. Now, The Fabelmans is a film that is written and directed by the phenomenal Steven Spielberg, and this movie is basically based loosely on a true story of Spielberg's life. It's basically about the Fabelmans and not the Spielbergs, but the main plot of the Fabelmans is growing up in a post-World War II era in Arizona, young Sammy Fabelman aspires to become a filmmaker, and as he reaches adolescence, soon discovers a shattering family secret and explores how the power of films can help him see the truth. I don't know how much this is based off of his real life, or if it's just kind of more loosely based on Spielberg's life, but nonetheless, Steven Spielberg is probably one of, if not my favorite director. I think most people's favorite directors. I mean, he's given me two of my favorite films of my life with Jaws and Jurassic Park. And there is a moment in the beginning of this film where a young Sammy is taken to a film. And I think it's The Greatest Show on Earth. I'm trying to remember if that's what it was. I think it's The Greatest Show on Earth. And he's watching this movie, and they get to the train sequence, and you see this young kid's eyes just explode in terms of like, oh my god, I'm seeing the greatest thing ever, and I want to do nothing but this for the rest of my life. And Spielberg has done that with me personally with Jurassic Park and Jaws, where he does something to unlock you in this world of film and makes you fall in love with movies and stuff like that. And it was awesome to see that as a performance and through this young Sammy's eyes, and kind of go from there. In terms of the cast, you got Michelle Williams, who plays Mitzi, his mother. Paul Dano plays Bert, his father. Seth Rogen plays Benny, Bert and Mitzi's close friend. The big standout for me is while Mateo Zorian plays the young Sammy and does really good, most of the story is going to be about adolescent Sammy, played by Gabriel LaBelle, who looks like a young Edward Norton. But he is the one that you're really going to kind of follow through most of the story here. And this film, like I said, if you love film and you love kind of where to see how a director thinks and how the director tries to do certain things and tries to figure out the magic and the tricks to leave those fans in awe while watching it, you're really gonna love The Fabelmans. I loved how the young Sammy kind of figured out how to shoot certain things and how to make people basically cheer with his young videos and kind of grow from there and figure things out. Now, I will say, in terms of the story, when they move from Arizona to California, the story does lose its footing a little bit. It kind of loses its... It goes more about high school love and anti-Semitism, and kind of stuff like that I wasn't really all that I cared for. It wasn't really something I really cared to watch based off of what we had been getting previously. But nonetheless, the performances of everybody in this film are top-notch. Michelle Williams puts on a Oscar-worthy performance as Mitzi, as a woman who is eccentric in her very own way, but is on the brink of insanity for reasons that I cannot explain through the film. Paul Dano's Bert. Paul Dano is one of those actors that either plays a character so far off the reservation beautifully as well. I think Paul Dano's a phenomenal actor. Or he plays an incredibly reserved. And this is a character with Bert that is an incredibly reserved character. He's just doing his job. He's just trying to keep his family, safe, while also trying to elevate his career. But by doing so, really kind of misses a lot of the key elements of his family because he's so focused on his career. And I think Dano does an actual great job with this performance, way better than the Riddler in the Batman earlier this year. Seth Rogen as Benny, I mean, he's basically playing Seth Rogen, but there are moments where Seth gets to shine. There's one particular scene where he's talking to Sammy on a street that I actually think was a great performance by Seth Rogen, which he doesn't really have a whole lot of those. He's a funny guy, but his acting it's fine. But this was definitely one of his better performances on that particular scene himself. Judd Hirsch pops in at one point as Uncle Boris, and he has a great moment with Gabriel that I think was actually a great scene for him that could maybe give him some supporting actor nods just for the small scene that he had. Julia Butters, who I have been crazy about ever since I saw her performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She plays Reggie, one of Sammy's sisters. She's got some great moments here and there throughout the film. But this movie lives and dies out the performance of Gabriel LaBelle, who plays the adolescent Sammy. And he does a great job of basically playing a kid who has this life dream, this goal of wanting to be a director, wanting to be a filmmaker, and to an extent succeeds because he is making films that people enjoy and love and want to watch him make more and more. But he's going through his adolescent years, moved to a new high school where things are different, and then dealing with anti-Semitism and stuff because, he is Jewish, to a point where he also finds out this dark family secret, and it's hard for him through his adolescent age to deal with that, to talk about it in a way that's constructive instead of out of anger, and has to figure out different ways to express it and go over it in a way that's not just blurting it out and spilling the beans over everybody, but to kind of do it in an expressive way that works for him. And I think Gabriel LaBelle actually does a great job navigating through all these situations that he has to go through with the family secret and him having to navigate through high school with all these twists and turns with bullies and girls and all that kind of stuff. And I think Gabriel LaBelle puts on a award-nominated performance. Now, do I think he should win? Probably not. But he definitely is enough to put him on radar to start paying attention to his performances for movies here in the near future. I think The Fabelmans, like I said, outside of losing its footing for a little bit when they moved to California about near the end or the middle of the second act, I think this movie is incredibly well done. I think it's shot beautifully. I think it's acted beautifully. I think the story elements work incredibly well for the story that they're trying to tell. And by the end of the film, I loved this movie. It's one of my favorite films of the year. Outside of it losing its footing here a little bit for about 10-15 minutes until you got used to the story that they changed it to, I think The Fabelmans is an incredibly well done film, and I strongly recommend watching this movie. I think it's out in theaters as well as on Vudu to rent. So if you guys feel like don't want to make it out to the theaters because of the weather or holiday season, go out of your way to give this a rental. This is definitely one of the better films of the year. I'm actually going to give The Fabelmans a 92%. Standout performances from everyone involved. Love the visual marvel of a young Sammy figuring out the world of directing and how to make movie magic happen, and then watching the actual results of his said thought processes through the directing process. Like I said, standout performances from everybody, and I cannot wait to watch this again. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, you can follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. I apologize for my voice halfway through this. I can hear it starting to kind of go out a little bit and trying to cough and stuff. I'm trying to get better, but I had to shoot these reviews nonetheless. We got more reviews coming, so be on the lookout for that on the channel, as well as our end-of-year stuff with Brian Michaels and myself. So we will have plenty of movies, plenty of videos popping up on the channel here very, very shortly. So be on the lookout for all that. And until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
you're still here. It's over. Go home.